It was Friday when Bell was cleared by Loki to return to the dungeon. He wasted no time and went immediately to the guild to see if he could locate his party member. Arriving in Babel, he immediately went to the small line that formed before Ina, eagerly awaiting to greet his advisor. Upon arrival, Ina immediately put out a sign and redirected the 4 people that were waiting behind Bell, allowing her to talk to Bell in private. It was an advisor's duty after all, so the 4 people didn't really seem all that upset. Upon taken into the back, Ina stared at Bell for a good 10 seconds before speaking. I have so many things that I want to say, none of which seem to be the right thing. So I want to say, I am glad that you are all right, Ina said, having struggled to keep her desire to scold and yell at the boy at bay. I thank you. I'm sorry if I worried you. I worried myself too. You know just how dangerous that was, and how lucky you are that the Crusher was there, Ina replied, speaking quietly. I know. I'd be dead, I had to do it. Ina sighed and nodded, her right hand on her forehead as she felt a headache. I know. I heard. A lot of people are alive because of you. We avoided any casualties, and you are a big reason why, Ina stated, before looking at Bell. I always knew you'd be a problem, but please, promise me you'll try and stay out of trouble. I don't try to get in trouble. It just ends up coming for me. Seems like it. Well, are you going to the dungeon again soon? Yes. I was hoping to start tomorrow, but I want to see if I can find my partner. Welf is his name, and he is my blacksmith partner too. Oh, Welf Kratzo. He's with the Hephaestus Familia. How is he doing as your partner? She asked, curious. She never spoke to him after he started a party. Bell smiled brightly. Yeah, that's him. Hephaestus is the blacksmith Familia, right? Well, I would like to see if there is a way I can find him. Or maybe you could send a message. I would like to go back into the dungeon with him. I need to get stronger. Ina hummed. I understand. I will send a letter to the Hephaestus Familia today. We'll set up a meeting for you and Welf here at the guild for Pt.9? She asked with a smile. Bell nodded. I'd really appreciate it. You're a lifesaver, Miss Ina, Bell said with a bright smile. No matter how many harrowing events he faces, he still can smile like that. Ina had to admire that. It's not that big of a deal. So, you all healed up? Imogen, Goddess was really helpful. She took care of me. She made sure I rested. She helped me in the BA. She made sure that I had salts for my soreness, Bell said, blushing a bit as he almost admitted to bathing with Loki. Luckily, he caught himself, or so he thought. He did what? Ina exclaimed in her head, in complete shock. Sure, it wasn't like it was unheard of for a deity and a mortal to form a bond, but generally those were the lower-rated deities. Loki, Freya, and a few others had never gotten with a mortal. What was more surprising was that Loki was into big-breasted women. Now she was doing such things with Bell? What kind of villainy was the trickster up to? Bell, just be careful, okay? I'm glad that you are healed up, but you never know who, or what, may try something unexpected. She scolded, not sure how else to say it. It's not that Loki was bad, but she was mischievous, and she wouldn't put it past the goddess to use Bell for some plot to get women. Ina sighed. Hopefully Bell would be safe with the trickster. I will be on guard. I will no longer let myself be rescued, Bell said, pumping his right hand out into a fist. Ina smirked a bit. Oh, not a fan of being the damsel, huh? She teased, enjoying the blush and huff from the boy. No, I don't. I hate being saved. I hate being weak. I refuse to allow it to happen again, Bell said seriously, staring at Ina. I will become strong. I will become a true hero, he stated, which got Ina to smile softly. Still holding on to that, huh? Perhaps that is a strength. Good luck, Bell, the advisor thought before nodding. All right, well, I need to get going if I am to send out this letter, Ina said, before shooing Bell out of the private room. Bell smiled when the door was opened, turning to wave at her. You are awesome, Miss Ina. Thank you so much. Love you, he yelled as he ran out of the guild, heading out into the city. Ina once again was on the subject of a few wolf whistles and teases from fellow employees and adventurers alike. Ina blushed, sighing. You idiot. Bell ran through the streets, stopping when he spotted Ryu, was taking out a trash bag from the benevolent Mistress. He took a small breather before approaching Ryu, who had finished tossing the bag into the dumpster nearby. "Hi, Miss Ryu," Belle explained, smiling brightly. The elf was startled, but didn't show it as she turned to face the human that had captured her attention and part of her heart. It was a silly crush, but it mattered little to the logical elf. She was a maiden too. "Ah, Mr. Cranel, I heard about what happened. I am glad that you are all right. I'm also glad that you saved all those people. You are the talk of the town," she said, giving him a slight smile. Belle blushed and rubbed the back of his head. It was nothing. I did nothing but almost get myself killed. The others were much more heroic and awesome than I." Ryu's eyes narrowed at that, not liking the way he put himself down. "You saved a lot of people by leading the monster away from the crowd. The others would not have gotten there in time, and people would have been dead. What you did is heroic. That is one of many definitions of being a hero, Mr. Cranel," Ryu said, slightly scolding. Belle looked a little frightened, but nodded. "All right. Well, I was wondering. I don't really, I was thinking, would you like to go somewhere after work?" Belle asked. Belle had little friends. He had wealth and sure, there was his familia, but he didn't really feel like he had really true friends yet from them. Well, besides Tiona. Thinking of his crush got him to blush, but he shook his head and looked at Ryu before he blushed again. "His friends. I don't have many friends, and I would like to know if maybe you'd want to be?" Ryu was staring at Belle with shock in her eyes, though her face was impassive as always. What? He wants to, as friends, right? The maiden thought, a little sad at that, but at the same time, she was thankful. She didn't know him all that well, and starting out as friends sounded better than just him asking her out randomly. She eyed him up curiously. "He wouldn't want me. Someone who has done so many awful things. It's best that I forget about him," Ryu thought, but she knew her heart would betray her. "I suppose. What would you want to do?" I'm not sure. Would you like to walk around? Or maybe visit some of Babel's shops? Or just sit and have a drink?" "You are into alcohol, Mr. Cranel?" Ryu asked, curiously. Belle blushed a bit before nodding. "My goddess forced me to have a few drinks, and it's nice, especially after a good day of adventuring," Belle admitted. As long as you are careful with it, I don't see an issue with it. Just don't become addicted, Mr. Cranel. It has been the doom of many adventures. I advise caution." Belle nodded rapidly. "I will be sure to drink in moderation," Belle exclaimed, hoping to reassure his, hopefully, new friend. Ryu nodded and smiled a bit. "Good. I think having a drink somewhere sounds nice. I am not a big fan of crowds. Despite my career, I prefer solitude. Do you just want to be alone then?" he asked, looking a little hurt. Ryu shook her head. "No, I am looking forward to a drink," Ryu stated, giving Belle some reassurance that she too wanted to hang out. Belle's smile was absolutely worth it, even if she didn't want to hang out and only wanted to protect his feelings. His smile lit up the area, filling Ryu's heart with warmth. It was a feeling she wasn't very familiar with, especially of late. "I get off in 4 hours. Meet me here? I'll be off the clock and Mia will take care of us." "Okay. Thank you, Miss Rhea. You're amazing," Belle said as he ran off, heading towards the manor. Ryu stared at Belle leaving, a slight blush dusting her face. She sighed and shook her head. You are something, Mr. Cranel." Belle entered the manor with a big smile on his face. He was back in action. He was going to the dungeon tomorrow with Welf. Hopefully Welf wanted to go anyway. He had a date with Ryu. He was all healed up, and he was filled with more confidence than ever. He was ready to tackle the dungeon and show Tiona and his goddess just what he was made of. He entered the kitchen as his stomach rumbled, noting that it was lunchtime if the clock was any indication. He went into the fridge, humming a tune of sorts as he grabbed meat, cheese, tomatoes, a head of lettuce that was already pre-used, and then a loaf of bread from the cabinet. "Today is a wonderful day, Belle thought cheerily, but his cheeriness came to a crash. My, someone is having a good day. Did you get laid, little rabbit?" Loki cooed, leaning against the door frame as she stared, amused, at her child humming without a care. What? What are you saying, goddess? Loki grinned. Well, something good had to happen if you were humming like that. I wonder if I kept my mouth shut. Would you have started dancing? What's got you so happy? She cooed, enjoying herself. It's nothing. Just, I get to go back to the dungeon is all. Oh, are you sure that's all? She pried. Oh, would you perhaps have a date tonight? My, moving so quickly. I thought you were all over Tiona and I, with how you lust after her and how you bathed with me, cleaning my body with your own hands. And now I find you going after yet another? Oh, what is a goddess like me to do with a naughty boy like you? She teased. It's not like that, goddess. I swear. And you have forced me to bathe with you. And it's not like that. Loki grinned at his stammering as well as his beet red face. It was precious and fun. Loki laughed softly and shook her head. You can do whatever you want, as long as you are happy. Loki said, snickering. Enjoy your date, kid. Loki said, wiggling her fingers in a goodbye. Bell slammed his head on the counter, whining softly as he slowly recovered from the embarrassment. Loki had nailed him. He really was that transparent. Bell finished his lunch about an hour later, having actually taken his time to eat his meal as he had nothing else to do today until his date with Ryu. Sure, he told her it wasn't a date, but the young white-haired lad had a heart that betrayed him. His heart demanded it be seen as a date, even though Bell knew it wasn't supposed to be. After lunch, Bell checked the time on the wall, before grinning. Only 2 more hours to go. Running up the stairs, Bell ran into his room, immediately going to make an outfit. He dug through the drawers of his dresser, throwing clothes side to side, trying to find a great outfit. After 10 minutes, creating a disaster zone, Bell picked out an outfit. It was one of the few outfits that he got before he arrived in Ororio, leaving his hometown with. It consisted of a dark red, nearly blood red, button-up polo, a pair of dark-colored denim pants, and a pair of sneakers. He placed his outfit onto his bed, before rushing out of the room towards the baths. Sure, he was pretty sure he still was very much clean and probably still smelled good from the bath the night prior, but his grandfather taught him well. When it comes to women, sin is key. A woman will not want a man who doesn't smell fresh. If you can, always bathe before you meet a woman. Listen to my wisdom and women will flock to you. Bell listened to his grandfather most of the time. His grandfather was the only family member that he could remember. His parents died before he could remember any of them, but Bell wasn't upset about that. He had a good life with his grandfather, and he was going to honor the man. Just you wait, Grandpa. I'm going to show you what I am made of. In the dungeon and with women. Bell thought triumphantly as he entered the bath and stripped down. He climbed into the bath with a sigh. He had another hour before he'd have to leave, and he was going to enjoy a nice and hot, relaxing bath. I hope she enjoys spending time with me. She's so pretty. I'm going to do what Grandpa wanted for me. Bell, there is nothing greater for an adventurer, a man, than to have a bevy of beauties in their lives. Not to be at their beck and call, but to be there for you. If you can have a bevy of wives who want to take care of you, then cherish them with all of your heart. Keep being kind, even with many women, and do not let any of them feel left out. For a harem is a man's true romance. Take it from me. I've had my own harem when I was younger. Ho ho ho. I'll do it, Grandpa. I'll form a harem, but only those that I care about, that I love. Only those that I love, Bell thought, before he began cleaning himself, soaping up a rag before going all scrub-a-dub-dub. After scrubbing himself and rinsing himself after, he decided to just relax, letting out a sigh. I love this bath. Nothing is better than hot water. I am so happy that I am a part of this familia. Thank you, goddess, Bell said, groaning softly. His relaxation ended way too soon, but Bell was also excited. He grinned as he got out of the bath, shaking himself a bit to dry himself off slightly before using the towel to finish the job. I hope she likes my smell, Bell exclaimed, only for a laugh to pierce his ears. Ha 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 ha, your smell? Spoke the voice of the trickster, who was entering the bath just as Bell was drying off. So it is a date. Ha ha ha. Oh, that's golden. She grinned, staring Belle down, who was now red in the face, having been caught talking about his smell and about a girl liking it. So, you are thankful that I took you in, huh? She teased. Well, I hope you intend to show me how thankful you are, Loki teased, only to be completely surprised as Belle ran up to her, dressed in his underwear and pants, wrapping his arms around her in a big hug. Belle laid his head on her sternum. Thank you, goddess. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't found me. I know that you chose me on a whim, and the kind recommendation of Ina, but I am very thankful that you kept me. I hope to make you proud of me, Belle said sincerely. Loki blushed a bit, but gently patted Belle on the head, stroking his hair. She hummed. I look forward to what your future holds, Loki stated, continuing to stroke Belle's hair. And you already make me proud. Just don't get yourself killed, the goddess stated, which got Belle to nod. Now, get out of here. You have plans soon, yes? Belle nodded and released the trickster. Yes. Thank you, goddess. I will see you tonight, Belle stated, running out, putting his shirt on as he made his way through the manor. He didn't want to be late. Loki smiled a bit as he ran off. That child, the trickster thought with fondness. Belle disappeared down the streets, rushing through the crowds of hungry adventurers, returning from the dungeon. His aim was the malevolent Mistress, ducking, weaving, sidestepping, and in cases, leaping over. He arrived at the entrance where Ryu was busy sweeping the steps. She looked up as soon as he skid to a stop upon arrival. Mr. Cranel, you ran over here? She asked curiously, raising a brow curiously at the heaving boy. Sorry. I was running late. I took too long in the bath. I didn't want to be here late, and you think I wouldn't show. I must show up early so it won't happen next time. Please forgive me. Ryu stared at Belle for a few moments before she shook her head. No need to apologize. You arrived early enough, but whoever taught you that is quite wise. Please be sure to arrive earlier next time, Ryu said, her eyes playful despite her tone being bland. Why, yes, Miss Ryu, Belle said, bowing his head to the elf. I should be off in a few minutes. Would you like to wait inside? I shouldn't be too long. I'm just going to go change. You don't have to if you don't want to. You don't need to change, Belle said, scratching the back of his neck while looking away. I don't want you to have to do anything special, Ryu hummed. Yet, you are the one who dressed up and put on cologne for me, were you not? Ryu pointed out, making the white-haired boy blush. Belle fidgeted in place for a bit. It wasn't. I was dirty, he stammered out, unsure of what else to say. Already blowing his cover, Ryu just sighed and gave him a small smile. If you say so. All right, Mr. Cranel. I believe I am off now. Shall we go in for a few drinks? Ryu asked, stepping away from the steps to allow Belle to lead the way. He purposely wanted change for this and is embarrassed about it. Perhaps he does? Belle entered the Mistress with a smile, looking around before finding a table located in the far back left corner, away from the large groups of adventurers. Taking note of the adventurers, a blush crept up on the boy's face. He was on a date with Ryu in public. Of course, the poor lad was embarrassed, as he knew he and Ryu were going to get a lot of attention just for the idea that they were on a date. Even if it wasn't, it could easily been seen on the outside as a date. Clenching his fists, he gained the courage and pulled out Ryu's chair, giving her a warm smile. You idiot, Ryu said fondly, before nodding. Thank you, she said softly, taking a seat while still dressed in her maid uniform, though she removed the headpiece. She looked a bit more formal, a faint dusting on her cheeks as she felt a bit self-conscious. She knew, in her head, that this was wrong. That going on this date with Belle, despite them not saying it was a bad idea. She was on miles of bad road, and she knew that it was wrong of her to have Belle take up the baggage, even if he didn't know about her baggage. Yet, here she was, sitting down and enjoying the time she spent with the boy that had captured her attention. Ever since the day that he had thanked her so vehemently, holding her hands and touching her, her heart had beaten. Her heart had been rendered cold due to her past. She cared for her friends, that much was true, but romance? That was something she had sealed off for herself long ago, knowing that she wasn't worthy. But Belle? Belle had somehow gotten into her life. I suppose I have you to thank, Elise, Ryu thought, smiling softly to herself. She looked up at Belle and stared at him, her stoic face unreadable for the boy. So, we going to get food too, or just drinks? She asked curiously, staring at the young man who had captured her heart. Belle flushed at her question. We could do both, if you want, Belle said quietly, still a bit shy despite having bagged a date with one of the most beautiful elves he's ever met. Riveria just can't be beat. But Ryu is close. Wait, why am I thinking of someone else? Get your head in the game. He scolded himself, before nodding. Both, Belle said firmly. All right, Ryu replied, looking over at the bar where Mia was busy washing a few mugs, though Ryu noted she had looked over their way multiple times. Mia caught her eye and gave the elf a smile and a nod. She was happy for the elf. Ryu stared at Mia for a few moments longer, before looking back at Belle. What are you wanting to eat? Whatever you recommend is good for me, Belle said after a few seconds of thinking. Ryu nodded after a bit. Mia, could we get 2 specials and a few Alesh? Ryu asked aloud, looking at Mia as she did so. Mia grunted, which Ryu knew was her way of acknowledging her order. So, Miss Ryu, you, why? Why do you work here? Belle asked, curious. Why do you ask? Ryu asked in a reply. You are an elf and, it seems beneath you, like someone so, elegant? Ryu blushed a bit at what Belle had said. What? How do I? Damn it, Belle. Ryu thought before humming. I can't believe I'm allowing this. I can't believe that I am falling for him. Ryu decided to be honest. Mostly. I am a runaway. I left with just the clothes on my back, and Mia took me in. I also have no problem working like this. It is not beneath me, as you may suggest, Ryu said, looking Belle in the eye. Don't think of me so highly, Mr. Belle, she said firmly, not wanting him to go further with this. It was bad news for him if he got to know her. She had to stay firm and get away, but it wouldn't go that way. She and Belle would not so easily part. I see. I didn't mean to insult you or anything. You're really pretty. He scratched his cheek. And I would think you could do anything, Belle admitted, looking away with a slight pink dust on his cheeks. That's very kind of you, Mr. Cranel, Ryu stated, staring curiously at Belle. Thank you. Belle nodded but didn't respond. He was now blushing quite hard, feeling the eyes of the other patrons nearby, all giving him a glare of jealousy, hated, but also a glare at Ryu of adoration. Ryu ignored it, not caring what other people thought of her or what she was doing, and she figured the glares they sent Belle should only boost his confidence. This made Ryu a bit happier, seeing herself on a date with Belle. It was then the food arrived, with Mia being the one to bring it over. She had a smirk on her face as she looked between the pair after serving their food and their drinks. So, you going to be taking responsibility for our lovely Ryu, right, Belle? Mia asked, staring down Belle intensely, who gulped. Belle looked a bit terrified under the titan of a woman, but he nodded. Why, yes. I'll take responsibility. Good. You break her heart and I'll break you, Mia said, only for Ryu to glare at Mia softly. This isn't what it looks like. We are merely having drinks together as friends. Nothing for you to concern yourself with. Ryu scolded, which didn't anger Mia. In fact, it merely made her even happier. Ryu was lying, though she wouldn't call her out on it. Mia hummed. If you say so. Just know, I am happy for you. Don't ruin a good thing, Mia cooed, wagging a finger at Ryu playfully before leaving. Enjoy, she stated as she returned to the bar. Belle's face was a bright tomato red, looking away. Ryu, on the other hand, remained mostly stoic, though the light pink dust on her face revealed her own embarrassment, though it went away quickly enough. Ryu looked at Belle, deciding to speak up to try and help. Mr. Cranel, she's just teasing. You don't need to war dash. I won't break your heart. I'll be sure to cherish it, Belle said firmly, looking at Ryu though his face was still bright red. Ryu's face lit up a bit darker, hearing Belle's words. Ryu calmed down rather quickly, staring at Belle intensely. She had to stop this. Belle couldn't do this. That would be a very big mistake. You do not know me well enough to come to any decision like that. Let me advise you that I am not worth going out of your way for this. There are much better people. No, I don't want to hear that. Whatever it is, it's okay. You aren't a monster. No one as kind as you could ever be considered a monster. You're a good person, and your smile proves it. I know you are. So, I think you are worth it. Don't ever say you aren't. Belle exclaimed, leaning forward on the table. His face was still red, but less so as he poured his sincere thoughts about Ryu out into the open, surprising Mia and several adventurers nearby. Ryu stared intensely at Belle, as the pink dust on her face turned red. Belle looked into Ryu's eyes intensely, having a bit of confidence in him to do this, despite the embarrassment of having done so. He wasn't planning any of this, but he had to say something. He couldn't let her speak down about herself. Ryu nor Belle could speak after that, both looking away from each other after a while, embarrassed for making such a scene in public as well as what was said. Both of them decided to just dig into their meal, keeping silent throughout. Neither knew what to say now, after what Belle had declared. It was awkward, though both of them had a calming warmth spread through their body. After finishing their meals, Belle paid for both of them, before he bowed his head. You have a good night? Belle stumbled his words out, still unsure what to do now. His confidence that he had earlier had completely disappeared, leaving Belle to be the unsure shy man he always was. Ryu wasn't much better, though she hid it well behind her mask of stoicism. Ryu nodded. You too, Mr. Cranel, Ryu said, thankful that they didn't go further with the conversation, but also a bit saddened that it ended like that. She watched with disappointment as Belle left the bar, head tucked down. It was anticlimactic for sure, but Ryu knew it wasn't over. Oh, Belle, Ryu thought, blushing. When Belle arrived home, he evaded any of the other members of the familia, like the maids and butlers, as well as his goddess. He snuck up to his room, kicking his shoes off before collapsing onto the bed. He buried his face into his pillow and screamed, his legs kicking in frustration. Why did you say all of that? I am such a fool.